So my first question is always, please give esteemed audience kind of an overview of your background.
My background. Okay. Well, the brief version is that I'm a full-time writer. I write books for Disney Hyperion. The book that I just launched last week is called Willa of Dark Hollow. Prior to becoming a full-time writer, I had a full-fledged corporate career. I was a entrepreneur and a internet software CEO. So I had a full life, but through all of that, I wanted to write, and I've been writing for many, many years. And eventually, when I had the opportunity, I shifted to writing full time. And then Willa of Dark Hollow, my newest book, is about a young girl. She's not exactly human. She is 13 years old. Her name's Willa, and she has many magical powers. She is something called a Farron. So she lives deep in the forest of the Great Smoky Mountains, and she has many abilities and capabilities that are related to the forest. She's very interconnected with it. So, for example, she can camouflage her skin into the surroundings that are around her. So if she's hiding in a bush, her skin isn't white or black or brown or yellow. Her skin shifts to the green leaves that are around her. If she hides next to a tree, she looks like brown, craggy bark. And she also has the ability to speak an ancient Farron language that all the animals of the forest understand. So she can touch trees and make them grow spontaneously. So she is what's called a wood witch. So she has these powers related to the forest. So Willa of Dark Hollow takes place in 1901 in the Great Smoky Mountains in a true historical setting. It's a combination of history, mystery, and magic all sort of blended together.
I guess my first question for you is, with a character like that, who as I came to think of her as kind of like a little bit Poison Ivy, a little bit Aquaman, but she can talk to the animals all around the forest instead of the creatures of the sea. With somebody that powerful, and I realize, small spoiler, I guess, early on in the first book, she gets shot with a shotgun. But aside from that, how do you find obstacles for somebody so powerful?
Well, she doesn't start out real powerful. You mentioned the first book. So Willa of Dark Hollow is the second book. Willa of the Wood is the first book. Now, if you've not read Willa of the Wood, that's okay. You could just start right with Willa of Dark Hollow. It's written in such a way that you don't have to read the previous book. You can just start right into the story with Willa of Dark Hollow. So it's an independent story. But in Willa of the Wood, she definitely does not start out real strong. She, in fact, starts out in quite a weak position, and she learns to develop her skills over time. So her grandmother has taught her the ways of the wood witches of the past. And so all her skills and training come from what her grandmother has taught her. But then some things happen and she has to venture out on her own. And so she has to figure out a lot of things along the way. So she in fact does not think of herself as powerful at all. For example, unlike my previous series character, Serafina, Willa does not fight. She does not have claws. She does not have sharp teeth. She does not use weapons in any way. She never hurts anyone or anything. She's very much a pacifist, a vegetarian, very linked to the world in which she lives. And so one of her challenges is that there are industrial loggers coming into the region, cutting down great sections of the forest where she lives. And these are what she calls men of iron, meaning they have steam-powered cutting machines and skidders and draggers, and they use giant locomotives and so on. And she has no real strength or weapon or way to fight the men of iron. So that's one of her challenges.
So with a companion novel, because I started with Willa of the Wood, and I heard you say, well, you don't need to have read the first book to read Willa in the Dark. And I said, okay, well, I'll read some of both.
Yeah.
And then I'm wondering, as I read Willa of Dark Hollow, it starts off, I didn't have any trouble following it if I hadn't read the first book, but there are some slight spoilers, I think, for the first book in the second book. How do you write a companion novel specifically to avoid a sequel? Because this takes place 1 year after the first book, is that right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So I would say that there are spoilers in the reverse direction. So, in other words, in Willa of Dark Hollow, if you read that one first, when you go to Willa of the Wood, you will already be familiar with some of the things that are going to happen. Yeah.